there's a lot of really pissed off football fans, right, who are looking at Barcelona doing this and thinking, how can this be allowed?
Adam, levers 1 and 2 have been activated for some time. Can you just explain what they are and how they've managed to do it?
Yeah, you can. They both refer to basically each year a club in any major league receives money both domestically and internationally for the television deals that the division strikes. So in the case of Barcelona, La Liga have television deals that show the Spanish First Division in Spain and also internationally in all its different markets. And that's worth around 160 to 170 million euros a year to Barcelona. Those figures were a lot higher in the Premier League, for example. But for Barcelona, it's still a lot of money. One of the ways that they've managed to get an injection of cash this summer is they have decided to sell for the next basically 25 years, 25% in total of their television money, their television broadcast revenue for La Liga to a US global investment firm called Sixth Street. And as a result, if it was next season, for example, 25% will now go to Sixth Street rather than to Barcelona. But in return, Barcelona have brought in, I think, over 500 million euros, which helps massively in terms of their salary cap in La Liga at the moment and what they're able to do in this summer's transfer window. So the first one, I think, was 10%. The second lever was 15%. It gives 25%. And those were the first two levers.
Okay. Lever 3 is the newest, of course, Paul. That's slightly different and maybe more controversial as well.
Yeah, probably more controversial. I mean, it's basically selling 25% of Barca Studios, which is the company or the branch of the club that was supposed to exploit all the multimedia content and all the production, but it also includes like the metaverse, the crypto wall, and all this, of course, this kind of world that is probably more dodgy, as probably you were saying. And basically, the club expects 100 million of euros just to come inside the club, and they believe. Well, it's going to come from socios.com, of course. I think that Joey Dorso has done a lot of stuff around socios.com at The Athletic. So yeah, basically what Barcelona expects from that third lever is just to have everything kind of sorted, to be able to sit with La Liga in the coming weeks and to present them their accounts and their numbers and show them that they are ready to register every player, which is probably like the main issue that they have looking to the start of the season, because as of now, they have signed like a lot of good players and expensive players, but they are not registered into the team, which is, as we were saying, probably the main issue that they have right now.
The flip side of it is, what's the alternative for Barcelona, right? They've gone 3 years without winning the La Liga title. They've not been in a Champions League final since 2015. They've lost Messi, they've lost Neymar. And it's all a bit of an identity crisis for Barcelona, because even though probably historically they were a team that defined themselves more by the aesthetic, this is how we play, we develop players. I think over the last 15, 20 years, they've become more of a club where we have to win. We have to win, just in the same way as Real Madrid have to win. And it doesn't help, Real Madrid have won 4 Champions Leagues since Barcelona last won one as well.
That stings, doesn't it?
It does.
And it creates a sense of desperation that means things like this have to be done to try and find a way to compete with that.
Exactly. So is there a risk? Yes, because they are mortgaging their future to fund the present. But if they weren't to do this, if they weren't to pull these levers at the moment, the alternative is basically sell off all your star players. So sell off De Jong, sell off Pedri, sell off Gavi, go with a weaker squad for quite a long time. And as a result, the fear is, or what Barcelona argue, we fade into irrelevance and we then, we won't be in a position to compete anyway. So what they're saying is they have what they call a virtuous circle. That's the business model. This virtuous circle where if you invest in players, if you invest in the talent, that develops a brand, that builds into the style of play, all of which means you win games, you drive more revenues, you can grow in sponsorship. That's the bet they're making. Invest to grow. And we see if that works.
Let's talk about the transfers then. Jules Koundé was announced at the start of this week as the sixth arrival of the summer, something like £150 million spent signing Frank Kessie and Andreas Christensen. Admittedly, they were free transfers, but Raphinha, Robert Lewandowski to add to that as well. We know now, by the way that you two have explained it, how Barcelona were able to afford those transfer fees. But the issue that they've got, Adam, is being able to register these players to actually play in La Liga. This is definitely a loaded question, but why simply do they have an issue registering the footballers?
Yeah, so I expect this goes back to around 2012-13 when La Liga introduced what they call economic controls. And the idea is very similar to UEFA financial fair play. In that it's, to really massively simplify it, they want a club to be run sustainably. They don't want that much more going out than what's coming in. And you're minusing off a club's revenue the operational costs for each year and also debt repayments. And for Barcelona, that's been a huge burden in recent years, which has meant that what they've been allowed to do from a salary point of view has been really, really strict and tight. What they are hoping is that these levers that they've pulled, whether it's Socios or the television rights deals, will mean that La Liga look at the current situation and say, you've reduced it enough and you can register these players and you're within the limits. My feeling is they're going to have to get some players out still to register all of these players. So from conversations over the last few days with some people that are pretty well connected on this stuff, yeah, La Liga starts next weekend. So not this coming weekend, the one after. I think Barcelona play Rayo Vallecano. I think at the moment, the expectation is from La Liga, Barcelona will have some of these players registered, but probably not all of them at that point. I think what you're going to see is as this transfer window goes along, there's going to be a lot of pressure on Barcelona to get players out, to reduce the wage bill, but also probably to sell one or two players as well. So I don't think it's as severe as it was in terms of maybe 3 weeks ago. We're thinking you've got to sell Frenkie de Jong in order to register all these players. But I think you probably do need to get Memphis Depay out, and you probably do need to get Titi out, his wages, and you have to get Ricky Puig, which I think will happen, and play Serginho Dest. So it's some of those fringe players that need to reduce that wage bill still.
Yeah. So basically, when we asked like Barcelona sources, like in terms of why are you signing Robert Lewandowski, why are you signing this kind of players, they were telling you, look, our problem is not cash, because we got cash, we got loans from Goldman Sachs, we got money right now. Just the problem that we have is meeting the criteria that the La Liga has set for us. So in terms of cash, Barcelona has sorted their way out of this. But yeah, just Adam was saying, now I think that the key is going to be like the Operation Salida, Operation Exit, as they say it here in Spain. Ricky Puig I think he is heading to the MLS. Oscar Mingueza has already sealed the move to Celta de Vigo, and it's just basically just letting players go just to free up a space for the salary limits, basically.
But one of the sorry to interrupt. Yeah. One of the things that's going to be an issue is even if Barcelona get these players out, so many of them are on wages that are so high that Barcelona will still be paying some of their wages. So I think, for example, Clement Lenglet has just gone to
Spain.
Has gone to Tottenham on loan, and Tottenham, Premier League club in the Champions League, they weren't prepared to pay all of Lenglet's salary. So I think Barcelona is still paying over 50% of that, and that's going to be a story. With so many of these deals, I think maybe someone like De Jong, someone who's really in demand, is an exception there. But a lot of these players, that's going to be what happens. So I think even Messi is still owed money from Barcelona, right? Like that's a lot of these wages were deferred as well. So even, people are talking about Frenkie de Jong because of the big numbers he's owed, but a lot of other players agreed to defer wages and are expecting to recoup that down the line. So there's a lot of difficult conversations and a lot for Barcelona to thrash out. But if you're asking, will all of these new signings be playing for Barcelona this season? They just will be. It is still, I think, the hunch that everyone has, right?
But we've just said there that they might not be playing in the first game. So do we know what the threshold is for these players to be able to be registered to play? Do we know what the difference is going to be between them not being registered or being registered?
No, the threshold isn't transparent at this point.
Yeah.
So we're kind of at the mercy of whatever happens in discussions between Barcelona and La Liga, and it's because the La Liga cap
surely
doesn't
Barcelona don't know for definite then, do they, at this point?
No, but they are quite confident. There's another thing here that some people which is involved, like in the club, has defined how this industry works. Something like, if you tell that to any like business school in the world, they will just put their hand into their head and they wouldn't believe how it works. But it works like that. That's just football. That's how it works. So that's quite mental, the fact that Barcelona believes that they met all the criteria to register players, but they don't know for sure. And they have to sit down with La Liga and just discuss every kind of detail. So, it's not clear right now. But what they are trying...
Barcelona will find out then, Paul?
So just as soon as, or just when it gets closer to the transfer deadline day, basically.
Wow. What amazes me about all of this is how public it all is as well. Like we're sitting here now almost aware of the players that they want to get rid of and need to get rid of. And some of the figures that are involved as well seem to have found their way at different points into the media, which there's all sorts of accusations that you detail in the article around that as well. But the aspect to that really that I think is most interesting in a sense is that these players are still being attracted to Barcelona, Paul, aren't they? Koundé's chosen to go to Barca over Chelsea. Raphinha's rejected Chelsea and Arsenal to go to Barcelona. Lewandowski, all right, he's 33 years old, but he's still one of the best strikers in the world. He's got one of the greatest records in recent times. There doesn't seem a question that these players would go to Barcelona, despite the fact that they've got players in the squad at the minute that they're trying to sell, that have got wages owed, and all the ethics that goes with that. No one even put off by that?
No, and actually that's what gives Joan Laporta and the Barcelona board all the hope that they can find their way out of it, because they see that players are really interested in going to Barcelona. I think what people from the club is saying that Xavi has played an important role with that some players see Barcelona as the team that they used to admire or to look up to, something like that, and having a figure like Xavi that can tell them the project and the way that they want to play, it's kind of really seducing in that way. Plus Barcelona, just let's remind to ourselves that Barcelona is a great city to live, is a club that can promise to the players that they are going to create like big brands in terms of player. Robert Lewandowski has done like 3 seasons at Bayern that probably, if he had played for Real Madrid, he would have a couple of Ballon d'Ors by right now. But he was a Bayern Munich and he doesn't have Ballon d'Ors. So Barcelona is kind of playing with that, with the brand, with all that comes along with the club. Basically, I think that's what makes them proud right now.
But the flip side of all this is, it's kind of amazing that all these players that are signing for Barcelona, and really, we're talking about probably the most in-demand players of this summer's window, Koundé, Raphinha in particular. And I think that's why there's really heightened feelings, from those outside Barcelona at the moment.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really pissed off football fans, right, who are looking at Barcelona doing this and thinking, how can this be allowed? And I think also there was that sense from rival fans of, well, Barcelona are finished now, right? We don't have to worry about them. And all of a sudden,
yes, you do.
You've got Barcelona roaring back. And I think that unsettles some people. And I think there is a bit of jealousy there, and as well as genuine concern from some people as well. But what's interesting to me is a lot of big players have been at Barcelona in the last few years and had really horrible experiences, both on the pitch, off the pitch, in terms of, the way that they feel they were treated. The contracts of Lionel Messi, Antoine Griezmann, Frenkie de Jong have all found their way into Spanish newspapers. I think there is a real feeling that, in order to register players last summer, for example, there was a huge amount of public pressure put on Barcelona first team players to either reduce their contracts or defer their contracts. It was made very clear in the media what they earn. And it was kind of almost like this battle between, if you don't do this for the club, then you don't care about the club has to come first. And all these players have done is sign the piece of paper that was put in front of them.
It was offered to them.
Right?
Yeah.
They weren't the ones stupid enough to offer the money in the first place. Obviously, Barcelona would say it wasn't us. It wasn't this regime that offered this money. It was the previous presidency. But it's still been, I think, pretty you look at players like Dembele, for example, in January, where Barcelona were basically, I think Matteo Alemany, the sporting director, went on Barcelona television and said he needs to find another club by the end of the month, right? Or he'll be in the stands. And it basically ended with the Spanish PFA getting involved and saying, you can't treat players like this. And I think Frenkie de Jong, Gary Neville's called it a form of bullying. Barcelona have been saying over the past few days, Laporta said, we really want Frenkie de Jong to stay. We love Frenkie de Jong. We're doing everything to keep Frenkie de Jong. And it's kind of, will Frenkie do everything to stay here? And I think what is implied by that is, will he just reduce his wages a little bit in order to do so? And I think Frenkie de Jong is rightly just thinking, well, I signed a contract, I'm owed that money. And that's, I can both stay at Barcelona and earn my money, right? I don't have to do anything. And I think that's where the tension is. And that's where it's become, from the outside, quite unpleasant, I think, for quite a few players.